Hey, from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
How you doing, Darren? It's been forever since we talked.
Oh, my Lord in heaven. It's been forever and a day.
No, actually, it's been a day. It's been literally a day since we spoke. It's been less than 24 hours.
Yeah, so, I just can't quit you. What can I say?
I pretty much know how you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing all right, and we're doing great today because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest with us here in the studio, the cyber studio.
Mm-hmm. That's always exciting. Who's our guest, Darren? Introduce us all.
Our guest is a very good friend of mine, a fellow comedian, a fellow writer, and he's from my neighborhood too. He's from good old Jamaica, Queens, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Tommy Ray.
Yay. Hey, fellas, what's going on? So happy to be here. I'm glad that just chasing down Darren in the streets has finally got me to the place where I need to be on this podcast. I'm so happy to be here. Like, you guys have no idea.
That's right. You win. You grabbed the brass ring, my friend. This is it.
One of my favorite terms. Yeah, one of my favorite terms. No, I'm a huge SNL fan, so talking about it brings me great joy. So I'm just happy to talk about it with you guys.
That's very cool. And I understand Darren was telling me before we started recording, you actually have a personal connection with SNL. You've worked for the show as like a background player. Yeah.
So from, I would say, what was Keenan's first year? Keenan's first year was like 2003, I think.
That was in the Paleozoic era. I think he's at 18 years now. I think I looked it up yesterday. 2003 was when he started.
Yeah, so him and Finesse came on that first year. That's when I started doing background, and it was way different from where it is now. And we could talk about that, but it's I did it for about 7 or 8 seasons. Went through like 3 different background casting directors. It was always like a thing. So I don't know. I could talk about that. I could talk about the time that Halle Berry looked at me. And I thought my heart dropped because I thought she was staring at me, but apparently it was something behind me. But that's not the story I tell people. It sounds very.
If she was looking in your vicinity, that still counts. That counts.
Hey, I'll take that to my grave as a win.
Exactly.
So it was always fun in the beginning. We had a casting guy who was very, very much like, this is just supposed to be fun. And now it's gotten, after all this time, it's gotten a little bit more serious, but it's still always like a good time.
Okay. Cool. Well, how did you get started in something like that? How do you get started in? I mean, were you just doing background work for any place, for wherever, and then you just sort of focused on SNL specifically? Yeah. Like, how do you get started in such work?
So since John, I don't know how old you are, but I'm an older guy, right? So back in the analog days, you used to just like go back into backstage and like call a number, and they'll be like, "Sure, you can come on my set." So it was kind of similar with SNL. I had a good friend, God bless the dead, George Tiggle, who went to school with the guy who was doing casting for SNL, and I'll never forget this story. My buddy George goes, "I'm going on SNL this weekend. Do you want to go with me?" And I said, What are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make any sense, what you just said. He's like, no, my buddy works there. He asked me if I want to do background. So I'm going to do background. I was like, take me along. So he takes myself and my buddy Carrie with him. And we go and we do the first show, which was, I think that season was Jack Black. And I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And we do the opening with Jack Black. Like, we're in this, he does this huge, Tenacious D does a huge musical number, and we're like in it. And then at the time, so before it was SAG-AFTRA, you could only do like a month's worth of work. So I did Jack Black, I did Halle Berry, I did Regis and Kelly. What's the host name? The Kelly Ripa. Thank you. I don't know why I forgot that. And it might have been Justin Timberlake, I think, also, because I think I did the first Omeleteville. So
wow.
It was like I think, John, on another podcast, you said Murderers Row before, so I'll steal that term. It was just like a huge, like, it was like a drug, right? So I couldn't get back in that season but I got the money to join the union, and I got back the next season. The guy remembered me, and then I was just doing it. If I could quickly explain the day, would you guys like me to explain like how the day goes for like a background person?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, let's hear
please.
all the dirt.
Yes. So what happens is usually you come in on like, so if you're doing a digital short, that could be any day during the week from Tuesday to Friday, or Saturday. But usually you come in for the Saturday show, you come in on a Thursday or Friday, anytime between like noon and whatever time it is. And then you do a rehearsal. So they're blocking, they're marking, they figure out if they need you or not. Then you come back in on Saturday. Saturday's like, you have to be there by like noon, 12:30. It may have changed, but you're there the whole day. Like you're there from 12:30 until about 11 o'clock. And that's when they decide what's going to happen, what sketch is going to get cut. Now I've been there till 11 o'clock and they've let me go. And I've also been there at 11:30 where they're like, hey guys, we might still need you for something. And I've been there till about 12:45, 12:55 when they just decided you were up against like another sketch. And then they just like let you go. So I've been there like all times doing all things. And like the all day thing is tough because you're doing a rehearsal at any time from 12 to like 5 or whenever they do the rehearsal show. So you're just in a background space, which was either Jimmy Fallon, Dr. Oz, the old Conan studio, or where Seth Meyers is now, AG. And you're just there all day with a bunch of people you don't know. Obviously, doing it for a while, I knew a bunch of people after a while, but it was always like a fun time.
Yeah.
Wow,
cool.
That sounds fantastic.
It's fun. Maybe if I still have some connections, I can like try to get you guys to do some background.
Oh, that would be fun. we would be up for that. That was,
yeah.
You need a couple of middle-aged comedians like milling around in the background, then Darren and I are.
Well, back in the day, it used to be a lot more freedom in the early 2000s to like literally walk around the 8H with hardly any security. it was just so, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Do they take care of you okay? Do they feed you at some point in the day? Do you get a juice box or anything?
Yes. So you get, after your sketch is done, you can go out and go do whatever you like. And usually we would try to go out and get lunch, but then they always had like a bag lunch. So I would always grab like turkey and cheese, and they would have Oreos. And at that time in my life, I was like a huge Oreos guy. So I would just like collect Oreos from people. I mean, sometimes you just have nothing to do during the day because sometimes you're just doing like a walk by.
Yeah.
And just to put like a tiny button on the shirt, it's one of my most famous ones is because I'm in like I can't say I had a bad time doing it because I was featured in a lot of like sketches, but the Kelly Ripa one, there's like a P. Diddy thing during Weekend Update with Jimmy Fallon and Tina Fey, and I play like one of the runners. That's my most prominent one. Nice. So if you guys ever see that one, like that's where I am. And then there's a bunch that you would have to like pick me out in.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty fantastic.
Would you have a better chance of showing up on camera like during a live segment or during one of the pre-tapes?
That's a really good question. So it differs, but more than it's during the pre-tapes, they're like, hey, okay, I did one of my last few ones was when John Cena hosted. He only hosted once, correct? Am I wrong about that? I keep thinking he hosted twice.
I don't remember. I could try to look it up. Give me a minute.
Yeah, I think he hosted once. So I got a call. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. I get a call. They're like, oh, they're doing John Cena. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah, because sometimes you just want to like see these guys in person, right? So obviously he's like a wall of a man, right? So you're like, okay, well, shaking his hand is like shaking like, what do you call a bunch of bananas and like putting in your hand. And like, that's like, he's like a huge guy. And so
by the way, I looked it up. He hosted December 10th, 2016 and had a cameo on October 9th, 2021. So
the 2021, I wonder if that was like the Tracy Morgan one. Maybe, right? I don't know.
I don't know. Let me see.
I feel like that might have been the Kim Kardashian one where she was playing like the Bachelorette sketch and there was like all these famous people in it.
Oh, yeah. And John Cena like showed up randomly in that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was it.
So, yep. Okay, but please continue your John Cena story, Thomas.
Yeah, so they just had us in a space sketch, and they just had me sitting with another person with my back to the audience in like a spaceship, and like 'cause they were trying to figure it out. So we were in it like the whole time, and then when it came to closer to showtime, they were just like, "We don't need you guys here anymore." So.
So the back of your head wasn't contributing enough to the sketch.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about like big money. That's the thing I learned about Saturday Night Live is like the most interesting thing is like they won't start a scale. Everything's like huge, right? And then it gets closer to showtime and they shrink it. And one of the most amazing things to see though, like dealing with the live audience is interesting because every time we would come out, the live audience would be like, oh my God, look at those guys kind of thing. Like you just felt like the audience like staring at you, wondering what you were doing, how'd you get there, that type of thing. So it's always very interesting.
Yeah, very, very cool. So, I mean, what were the most interesting brushes with fame that you had during all your time? Because you must have had a little bit of fame encounters during your 7 years doing this.
Yeah, John, you were knocking out of the park with the questions, buddy.
Thank you.
You're killing it. You're killing it. So no,
thank you. You boosted my self-esteem.
Yeah, it's rare among comedians, right? We're like complimenting each other. It's very rare.
I don't know how to deal with positive affirmation.
You're smart enough. I just want to do the bit. You're strong enough. You're smart enough. People like you. That's the callback to okay. So LeBron James was interesting because I think I was sitting on like a stairs situation, and he was like walking up the stairs for the sketch. And every time he walked up every step, I was like, this is like I've never seen anybody this big in my life type of thing. So when he got up to me, like when I saw him like face to face, I was like, he's like built of like, he's like a for little kids a raincoat type of thing. Like he's a huge man. He's a huge man. Tom Brady also, he's way bigger than I thought he was. Kevin Spacey, of all people, like took the time to come over. Right, exactly. He took the time to come over and like talk to the background people. He's like, are you guys doing okay? And this is like, before all the bad things happened. So until everybody was like, this is an awful person, I was like, Kevin Spacey's cool. And then, I'm wrong.
And then, like years later, you're like, oh no, Kevin Spacey was grooming me. Oh my God.
Mine, of course, I'll have some Kevin Spacey. No, but him, Tom Hanks, of course. Like, there's no bad Tom Hanks story, right? Yeah. So he actually took the time to like talk to us. A lot of cast members were Bobby Moynihan always sticks out. Keenan, Bobby Moynihan, and Sudeikis. They always stick out as like people. Kristen Wiig also, who were like always willing to like take the time to talk to us. Andy Samberg, like I did a lot of digital shorts also that didn't like you probably couldn't see me in. But those guys always were like really nice and really like helpful and didn't treat us like dirt, which is all you can ask for.
That's always nice.
Yeah, look, being the life of a background person, if anybody's listening to this and they're thinking about going to background, I say do it if you want to get closer to the biz, but I don't say don't do it if you think you're going to get plucked out of obscurity to be like on the cast of SNL or any show. That's not what it's for. And that's what you come against. People are like, I mean, because it happens minimally and sometimes, but it's not something you want to bank on, type of thing.
The odds are just, I'm sure, astronomical of anything like that happening, especially with something like SNL, which is just so thoroughly planned out.
Yeah, some of the people I started. Okay, I'll tell you this one. You guys know what an under 5 is, right? That's when you get paid for saying under 5 lines on the show, right?
Oh,
so
okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, so you can make like a grant. So right now it's like, let's say it's $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. So you go in, it's the Ghostbusters, and they're like, oh, that's like that's my go-to because of the Ghostbusters movie. I always think about that construction worker in that movie. Hey, it's the Ghostbusters. Like I always think about that guy. I'm like, what is he doing? That's such a good line. So he.
The really weird thing is that what's his name? The Ron Jeremy is an extra in Ghostbusters, which still weirds me out.
What? I'm sorry, no,
Ron Jeremy is an extra in the original Ghostbusters movie. You can, like, during one of the crowd shots, you see, like, clear as day, a young Ron Jeremy there. And I just want to know, I want a movie about how that happened.
That blows my mind for obviously all the reasons possible.
Also later on.
Well, now we're just going to a place in this podcast. I'm gonna no. So they're not gonna plug. So the under 5. So I am the only, I would say, out of the 8 people I started with who didn't get an under 5 on SNL. And it's amazing because like everybody be like, yeah, man, because it happens in different ways. Like people, like one of my buddies, they were just like, hey, we're gonna put you guys in a choir, and they were like, everybody in the choir gets an under 5, and then they're like, I'm just gonna upgrade you for whatever. It just never fell my way in 7 or 8 years. So it's not something I'm mad at because I had like a really good time while there, but I just think about it, of course, because once again, I'm a comedian, right? So I just I think about all the failed opportunities, missed opportunities. But everybody was really nice to me all the times I was there. So I have nothing but good stories.
That's cool. That's very cool. That
sounds fantastic. And I mean, for something like this, this was probably like a dream come true for you because, like as you said before, you're a huge SNL nerd. So let's get into your SNL Nerds origin story. Like, how did you discover the show? What kept you coming back for more? Favorite eras, favorite cast members. Let's get into it.
That's gonna be really tough for me to like try to distill like what my favorite thing is because my parents watch What was that? What happened?
I just said never mind then.
No, right. Guys, I'm gonna leave. No, it's they
get out.
My parents were into, so yeah, I was born in the late 70s, so my parents were into SNL from the beginning. Like my dad was totally like, I love SNL, and of course, with the super duper stardom of Eddie Murphy, like as a young black kid, you're like, that's what people are talking about. Like we had the best Eddie Murphy at home on VHS. I don't know if people still know what that is, but those are letters that don't come up much. We had the best Eddie Murphy. We were huge into this cast, but I would say out of my friends and my family, I'm the only person who stuck with it throughout the 80s and then went into the 90s when I went to college and 2000s because obviously I started. So I followed the show. So I was there for the one-off Billy Crystal, Marty Short year. I was there for the Janine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the Robert Downey Jr. stuff, and of course the Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman era, which turned into the what's his name, Chris Kattan, and why can't I say his name? You know what? I just had a huge brain like ridiculousness, so I'm sorry. So the Sherry O'Terry, Will Ferrell. I couldn't say Will Ferrell. I'm sorry, everyone. Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry era. And then that awful Chris Elliott. What was that cast? Chris Elliott, and
Chris
that's
Elliott,
the first
Jeanine
time. Jeanine Garofalo.
I mean, they had good people. It just didn't work. I mean, and the writing was bad then too.
Sarah Silverman era.
And Jay Moore, Laura Keitlinger was there.
Did you guys? Can I ask a question before I go for it? Were you guys watching SNL on Comedy Central a lot in your youth, or you guys were just watching like the shows and trying to figure it out from there?
Yeah, I watched a fair amount of it when it was on Comedy Central. That was like in the 90s. They were doing a lot of that, and so that would have been around the time I was in college. So yeah, I watched a fair amount, and it was like the only place you could watch old episodes at that time. They ran on the E Network for a while too, as I recall.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I was watching it on you watch the old, like you said, watch the old episodes from like back in the 70s. They would put like the original cast, the OG, on Comedy Central. I remember it being on VH1 too. I could be wrong, but yeah, it was also on E.
Right.
It was also on E, and that's like that's why I'd watch all the old ones so I could see, like, oh, who's this John Belushi person people keep talking about? Who's Bill Murray or Gilda Radner? So like I would sort of catch up there and sort of do my homework there. But then I would also go back and I'd watch the new episodes as they came out. Like, I first started watching it regularly in like the Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks era, and I've been pretty consistent with it since then. But then I'd go back and watch the old stuff, like that was a little before my time, like early '80s and the '70s stuff.
Yeah, I thought the Comedy Central stuff was so weird because they would only do an hour, so either they would cut the monologue or they would always show like the musical guest depending on what the second song was, like twice.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you had like 3 sketches in an hour because of commercials.
Right.
So it was always weird. But yeah, I stuck through all of it. So when you guys said we're going to do this movie, I don't want to spoil what the movie is or whatever, but this is one of my Billy Crystal is one of my favorite because Fernando's house, Fernando's whatever. I'm sorry, the name of the thing.
Fernando's Hideaway. That was it.
Fernando's Hideaway. Thank you. I don't know why I'm forgetting this. Fernando's Hideaway was a running joke in my family. They loved Fernando. They loved Billy Crystal doing Sammy Davis Jr. I was a big Ed Grimley guy. I love the Ed Grimley cartoon, but that was from SCTV, and I loved all that stuff. I loved Weekend Update. I love that whole one-off era. The Jim Belushi, I even liked him then. Like they had that weird intro where they were like had a train going through, and everybody was like spray painting or doing different things to the train in the beginning.
I remember
like that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was one of the funkier openings that they've had on the show. Yeah.
I loved it. It was one of my favorite eras because it was kind of like wrestling to me because I saw Martin Short come in and do all his SCTV stuff on SNL, and it felt really important because I knew a lot of people didn't like get it, how good he was,
Right.
It was fun.
Yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff in that year, and So going back to the extra thing, why did you stop? Was there a particular reason that you stopped doing it? If it's not too personal a question.
Oh no, it's definitely not. I started working another gig. I decided that I was going to start stand-up comedy. That's exactly the time I started stand-up comedy. So I started bartending so I can get out early and get to gigs. And SNL kind of didn't. And when I got into bartending, they kind of like, it just didn't line up with SNL, even though I was working in Rockefeller Center. So I would see people from SNL and I'd be like, oh man, I should just go up to SNL. But like, I just couldn't get out of my job to like get up there. So I kind of was like, if I'm going to do stand-up, then I just can't. I got to do it and like not worry about like, because like I said, SNL is like a whole day, it's like, it's a whole like thing. It's very encompassing. So I was just like, oh, but I've gone back and I've done like little things every now and again. And so it's good. And the people that are there now are still very cool. So that's good too.
Cool. Very cool. All right.
That's fantastic, man.
So
yeah, you wouldn't think you would have to leave the SNL lifestyle and start doing comedy, but it's kind of weird.
No, I see what you're saying though. It is a time commitment if you have to be there all day. I mean, you can't have a whole lot else going on, I suppose, or at least not on the Saturday. So
yeah, and I didn't before. That was the whole thing. Like I did it.
You got a life, basically.
Yeah. I started. Well, I met my wife was at the time my girlfriend in 2010 also. So yes, it kind of coincided with that. Yeah, 12 years together, guys. 12 years.
Aww.
Congratulations.
L'chaim.
All right. Well, like as you said, we are doing a movie with Billy Crystal. I think this is one of his first movies, or it might have even been his movie debut. I didn't look that up, but we're doing Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. Actually, Gregory Hines gets billing above Billy Crystal, which shows you how early it was in Billy Crystal's movie career. So yeah, Running Scared. It's a police comedy from 1986.
Yeah, it came out June 27th, 1986. Made about, I think it's like 38 mil. So which I think it did decent. It was like a moderate success.
I was reading on IMDb the trivia page that they talked about doing a sequel, but they didn't come up with a script that Hines and Crystal liked enough. But I think it was going to be called Still Running. So.
That sounds like a title like I would say as a joke.
Yeah. I mean,
Running Scared
maybe
again.
it could have been Running Scared 2, Still Running, but I think it was
Running Scared 3. Just stop. Take a break for a minute. But we'll keep
Running
running
Scared 3.
after
Enough with the running. By the way, how weird is it that Billy Crystal's playing an Italian in this movie?
That was the first thing I thought. 100%.
Like his name is Costanzo, and I'm like, really? Billy Crystal's a Costanzo?
I think they just thought, well, he has black hair. That's good. That's enough.
Yeah. It's what made you want to do this movie, Tommy? Because it's kind of an unusual choice. It's not one that you would initially think when you're thinking like, hey, we're going to do a movie with an SNL cast member in it.
Yeah, because I remember, Tommy, like when we were talking about movies, you mentioned you saw this in the theaters, right?
Yes, I'm very old. My parents.
I saw it too. I must have seen it with my parents because I would have only been about 14 at the time. So
it's a hard R. This movie is a hard R. It's a rated R movie. There's no reason I should have been in the movie theater.
I don't entirely get why it's R, because it's like it's not really violent. There's not a lot of profanity. You see like a couple butts, and that's it. So I don't really get why it's R. But
I might have an answer for that. I don't think, and you guys can check me on this, I don't think PG-13 came out until 87 or 88. So I think it was either PG or R at the time, and it wasn't PG. So yeah. I don't think PG-13 existed. I could be wrong.
Maybe not. I remember that they created PG-13 because of the controversy with Gremlins and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. They were like, "Oh, this is a little hard for a PG," and so that's why they created PG-13.
Okay, actually, PG-13 debuted July 1st, 1984.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong. Okay.
So they had no reason for this not to be.
There's no reason for this movie to be such a hard R.
What the hell?
I chose this. Yeah, Darren's correct. I went to go see this in the movie theater with my parents. It's always, and in rewatching it, I realized why. Because you just don't, and I bring this up all the time. You don't, and I read an interview with Gregory Hines when he was talking about this. You don't see this type of action movie with a black man as the lead doing the things that they did. Now, were they not the greatest things as cops? Yes. But Gregory Hines had the opportunity to be a leading man who was doing just a bunch of things that in a comedy that even today you don't see much,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I saw another thing I saw on the IMDb trivia page is Gregory Hines said part of the reason that he did the movie was because like he was the guy who had the sex scenes in the movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And yeah, you hardly ever get to see that with a black man in movies. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think because like this was kind of a role we're not used to seeing Gregory Hines. Like when you say the name Gregory Hines, you don't think action buddy cop star.
Right.
Like he was like a song and dance man. Like he was known for his dancing and
he did a movie with Mikhail Baryshnikov, White Knights, I remember, and I think
Baryshnikov
did. Or something. And I don't know what Gregory Hines did in it, but I just remember clips of the two of them dancing together, and it was like, wow. But yeah, they have a decent chemistry together. I mean, it's an offbeat pairing, but I do like them together.
I loved watching them work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say we'll get into it, but I thought the movie was okay, but it's very formulaic. It's very kind of paint by numbers. It has a lot of tropes in it, and that you see in buddy cop movies. But yeah, the chemistry between Billy and Gregory is what saves it for me because they're really good together.
I've actually got the DVD with me. I'll just read the back just to give people an idea of what the movie's about. So, Dynamite Screen Team, Gregory Hines, The Cotton Club, White Knights, and Billy Crystal, City Slickers, star in the motion picture that asks the question, how come the bad guys always drive the good cars? The answer has them running scared in this lightning-paced comic thriller. Ray and Danny are the wild men of the Windy City's police force. The pair's unorthodox methods get results in a tough town until they come up against Julio Gonzalez, Jimmy Smits, NYPD Blue, a smooth-talking drug dealer who is bucking to become Chicago's first Spanish godfather. Dare to dream, guy. Trying to nail Gonzalez, they blow a delicate undercover operation and are sent on a forced vacation to Key West, where they discover the good life of warm weather and warmer women. The new locale makes them decide to retire, but not before putting Gonzalez behind bars first. So I'd totally forgotten that Jimmy Smits was the bad guy in this movie.
Yeah, see, that's like one of the tropes that I was talking about in movies like this, where like it's always like a Latino drug lord.
Yeah,
in these roles.
And this is like a pre-LA Law Jimmy Smits. This is early Jimmy Smits, because I don't think LA Law started until like 87 or so.
Yeah, and we also see Joe Pantoliano as like, you know, the sidekick, the snake, the street. Like Joe Pantoliano always plays like, you know, slimy street guys.
It's a punk Joey Pants, which I got a kick out of. You know, we see him with like a pink faux hawk thing going on, and I'm like, that's Joey Pants with a faux hawk. I kind of love it.
This movie, watching in 2022, feels like a fever dream. Like there's no real structure, right? There's no structure. There's no the act one, the act breaks are everywhere. Like everything is like, it's everywhere. Like, and every scene is like weird because it like goes from scene to scene. And even the Key West, like if Billy Crystal would have woke up and been like, after they came back from Key West and be like, oh, I've dreamt we were in Key West, I'd be like, oh, that's more believable than all the stuff that's going on in Key West right now. I'm like,
it's weird. Like about 30 minutes into the movie, the two of them just fuck off and go to Key West, Florida. And then we just have like 10 minutes of them meandering around Key West, hooking up with different women, going on like, they decide to buy a bar, and
for $180,000, which is insane.
Yeah.
That part really surprised me because, so in the beginning of the film, like they're trying to bust Julio Gonzalez, played by Jimmy Smith, and I also like.
Is that the least amount of thought ever put into a character name? It's like, oh, what sounds vaguely Spanish? Julio Gonzalez. Done. See? The most generic Latino name that the screenwriter ever could have thought of.
It's like somebody was listening to Julio Iglesias while Speedy Gonzalez was playing on the TV and just combined the two. But the first thing, like they figure out that Julio is up to something just because he's driving a really nice car.
Yeah.
He's just kind of
Yeah.
Like he's driving a Mercedes. No, something's up.
Well, he's driving a Mercedes in like this bad neighborhood. I mean, they're on like a stakeout at the beginning. I guess they don't really define what they're doing. They're just kind of hanging out, and they mess around with some kids playing basketball, and then Jimmy Smith drives up in a nice car, and Joey Pants gets out and has a briefcase that they discover has $50,000 in it.
I'm sorry, John. There wasn't kids playing basketball. It was grown men. They decided to like interrupt their game. It was weird. It was so weird. They took the basketball from them.
They are kind of assholes. Over the course of the movie, it's just like they just become more greater and greater assholes. They do something towards the end of the movie. I'm just like, that is not okay, you guys.
I think I know what you're talking. I think I know what you're thinking about. If it's the same thing I'm thinking about.
We'll get to it because that's kind of down the road a little bit. But I was just like, whoa! That's like crossing about 6 lines there.
It's like everything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think he's thinking about the same thing I'm thinking about because sometimes we link up like that, and we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
It's a very strange. Like from the first 30 minutes, you're like, what is happening? Like they don't have any warrants. They're like took stuff. They took Snake's money out of his. They told him he had $50,000 in a briefcase. They only put in $5,000, and then they took the $45,000. But it's totally fine. Like for some reason, like I'm like, this is This is an episode of Blue Buds, but like on steroids.
It's I guess in the age of propaganda, it plays kind of differently, where you're just like, oh, this is why cops are like out of control is because we had like a good 20, 30 years of movies of like they break the rules, but they get results. And now I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, this is not okay. None of this is okay.
None of this is okay. In Chicago, on the north side of all places. Like they're running the 80s in the north side of Chicago. They're like, this is a dangerous place, so we got to be dangerous people. And you're like, you guys can tone it down just a little bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and then like as the movie goes on, like they try to bust Julio Gonzalez. There's at one point they find like there was a jumper that died and from jumping off a building. Then later on they find out it was a cop, and then he actually drowned. And so there's like another mystery to solve. And then later on they get Snake to cooperate with them and tell them where Julio's going to be at. Of course, it's always down by the docks. And then like they end up capturing Julio, but like Snake gets shot and killed. And then Julio, they had to let Julio go because like they captured him without the DA's knowledge. And then like it's like you guys said, like midway through the movie, of course we see. Oh, we didn't mention the police chief, played by the great Dan Hedaya.
Dan Hedaya. I mean, when are you not happy to see Dan Hedaya in a movie? Really?
Yeah,
he's the Tortellis.
Yeah,
he's in the Tortellis. Yeah,
he's Nick from Cheers. He's Cher's dad, Lewis. He's
Nick Tortelli.
He's in Addams Family movies. I mean, or I think just the first one. But anyway,
he's always around.
Yeah, Dan Hedaya. It makes everything better.
Yeah. So like because they arrested Julio, kind of illegally, even though Julio got Snake shot in front of them, and even though Julio said he killed the cop that jumped off the building,
he did. I forgot about that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I was like, and they were like, "Oh, we have to let him go," and we're like, "Really?" And they and halfway through the movie, the guys are in a bar drinking, and you think they're still in Chicago, but then they leave the bar. You see they're in Key West, Florida, living it up.
Sunny and
and like I've
south as we can go without speaking Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. They did say that, and like that really surprised me because like halfway through the movie, they're like, "Yo, fuck Chicago, fuck being a cop, fuck this case. let's just retire. Fuck it. Let's just retire and live here, buy a bar, and drink for the rest of our lives." Like,
but apparently, this plot point did at one point make more sense because it was originally written for like a pair of cops who were close to retirement. It was originally written for Gene Hackman and Paul Newman. So they were going to be cops who were on the verge of retirement. And then Peter Hyams, the director, he was like, "No, I want to do a movie about younger cops who don't end up retiring." And so apparently the studio was like, "Genius, yes." And then they cast Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines. I guess more. But yeah, I mean, they say they have like 16 years in, and I guess Crystal and Hines are both in their mid-30s at this point. So I guess it's mildly plausible that they're 16 years in on the force. But
yeah, that was such a strange plot point.
Yeah, I think like during the movie, it's Gregory Hines' character Ray, his birthday, and they make a point to say he's like in his mid-30s, like 36.
Oh yeah, they say he's 36, and then Ray is like, "No, I'm 34." Yeah.
So
it was a very strange thing to.
Yeah. Very strange.
By the way, does any cop have like earrings like Gregory Hines has in this movie? I would think that would not be allowed.
Well, he's undercover, so I think what I've learned from cops in undercover movies, you can wear anything. It's the Serpico rule. You can wear a poncho. You can wear any type of hat you like. Anything to get with your man or your person.
True. That's
you
true.
Can wear anything.
All right. The earrings are forgiven then. Okay. Plug that plot hole.
I just that whole day. So you were talking about the Key West part, and let's not gloss over the fact that they went to sign a small business loan in roller skates, high socks, and cropped out shirts. That's how they signed there. That's how they signed there.
Yeah.
And it's the 80s, so they're wearing like the really short shorts too.
Yeah.
Right.
So now this is how Darren and I basically started talking about this. We both started singing Michael McDonald's "Sweet Freedom." We started singing that, which kind of tapes this movie together. I feel like that song like kind of brings it all together.
By the way, did you guys watch the video? Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the video.
Just about to talk about it. The video is better than the movie in the fact that they look like they're having so much fun in that video.
The video is 100% more entertaining than the movie.
They look like they're having and Gregory Hines has this wonderful, fantastic, totally spectacular crop top Walter Payton jersey on. Like he cut it under right before the 34th, like the numbers. And he's wearing it in the video. And I'm like, I've never seen that before in my life. I probably never will again. And Gregory Hines, I respect everything that you've done in that Walter Payton jersey. I love it.
This was that weird era in the mid 80s where you had a song in a movie, you could get the stars of the movie to do the music video. Like in the Ghostbusters video where Bill Murray and all the boys are just dancing down the Times Square with Ray Parker Jr. And here like Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines are in there and they're like lip syncing. They're pretending they're singing backup on the song. And weirdly, they're both better lip syncers than Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
I'm like, right. How are you better at lip syncing than the professional musician? But Michael McDonald's just like, rah, 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 rah. And he just looks so indifferent in this music video. It's kind of hilarious.
You are 100% right. He's like, and they're like, sweet freedom. And they're like killing it. They're killing it. Okay.
They're having the time of their lives. And Michael McDonald looks just like, oh, I left the meter right.
Yeah. Okay, top 3 celebrity cameos in the 80s for music videos. For me, you said Ghostbusters. Correct, right?
I mean, Ghostbusters, that's Cameo City. I mean, you got all the Ghostbusters. You get George Wendt. You got Peter Falk, you got Melissa Gilbert, you got Danny DeVito, none of whom have anything to do with the movie, but they are just there in the Ghostbusters video.
Al Franken's in it.
Al Franken doing a Mick Jagger impression.
They were just hanging out, and they were just like, hey, you guys want to be in the video? So it's this one, and Going Gets Tough for Billy Ocean with Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito again. And
good Paul, my friend. Good Paul.
Yeah, those are my top 3. Yeah, they're actually doing stuff in the video,
Yeah.
Very nice. Well done.
I don't think we've had like a cameo-laden music video like that since like they did the video for the Friends theme song. We had all the Friends dancing around together.
Oh yeah.
Like Courtney Cox playing drums on the Friends theme song. And I'm like, yeah, she plays drums with the Replacements. Yeah. Replacements. It's the Rembrandts. I'm sorry. I was mixing up my music groups.
I've never, as much as I love SNL, I've never watched an episode of Friends. It's just never come up, and I don't know where that leaves me in like the pop culture zeitgeist. But like I'm kind of indifferent on it. But I know all those guys have hosted, or most of them have hosted. SNL.
You probably know the deal, though. I mean, you don't need to have seen Friends at this point. It's just permeated the culture enough that you could probably do a decent job summarizing an episode of Friends without ever having seen it, I would think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And you also mentioned, I don't know if you want to mention it, but like, did anybody else find this weird or so? But like during the Key West scenes, like, we see, Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal without shirts, and both those dudes are jacked as hell. Like shredded.
I'm not surprised by Gregory Hines being in good shape because, professional dancer. But Billy Crystal, I was not prepared for those abs. That is, what the hell?
Dude, he's yoked.
I read that like Billy Crystal worked out for this movie because he was playing a cop. But Billy Crystal being in that shape, that wrinkled my brain a little bit.
You've never seen him with his shirt off after. I think that's the only time.
Yeah.
Just for that movie.
We did not have this when we did Mr. Saturday Night.
He did not.
Yeah. But no, I just so then after they go to Key West, they decide to come back, and then they're like, "Hey, we're leaving." And then they're told that Jimmy Smith's character is back on the street, and they can't have it. They went from being totally zen to infuriated.
Yeah. Well, they gave their 30 days notice, and they were like, "Yeah, we let him go while you were away in Florida because he made bail." And and they're just enraged.
That's right.
We got to get this guy
in 30 days.
in 30 days.
In 30
and
days.
also they have to train their replacements. They're like these two younger cops who are like maybe 5 years younger than Hines and Billy Crystal, but they're the rookies.
Yeah, I think I noticed like one of those cops wasn't. I think I forget the characters. I'll look up the actor's name, but I'm pretty sure one of those cops was Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. If I'm not
really?
I think so.
He did have a look to him. So
one of the guys was in Scarface, and the other guy was on Martin.
Yeah, Stephen
That's
Bauer.
how I remember them. One of the guys worked in the radio station on Martin. The other guy was in Scarface. That's how I know those guys.
All right.
Okay.
But I mean, but they're also like a little handicapped because they're planning to retire in 30 days. So of course they don't want to get shot or anything like that. So that's where we get the title. They're running scared. They're a little nervous that something bad's going to happen to them in the 30 days they have left.
Mm-hmm.
Which should have been the whole movie. That's actually the movie, right? Like that is like that's like later on in the second act, but that should have been like the first act.
Yeah,
should have been.
But we need that whole 10-minute sequence of them in Key West. I did like when they were first in Key West, they see like a bunch of people gathered around like by the dock, and Billy Crystal's like, "Oh, what's going on? Did somebody find a body or something?" And the woman just like, "Oh, we're watching the sunset." And he's like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, we do this every day. This is what we do here." And he's like, "Why?" And it's before they've gotten into the whole Key West vibe. I thought that was kind of funny.
That's the other trope, and I don't know if you were talking about that being a trope, Darren, but in this one, it's like that Florida is a better place than anywhere else. In the 80s, that was like a big thing, right? Everybody was just like,
it was plentiful, so
yeah. Florida was like I mean, if you're from the East Coast or you're from like a city where it's always cold and sunny, it's either California or Florida. Like those were the two oases, like they were seen as like the utopias of the place of like where you wanted to go. They're like, oh, like life is so much better down in Florida.
Yeah. And this movie, the Chicago parts, well, and I guess the Florida part too, they take place around Christmas, which I didn't realize until like halfway through the movie when they're like checking stuff out of the evidence room and you see like a wreath or Christmas decorations around the window. Right. And I'm like, wait, is this Christmas? And then they go to the bar and there's like a little Christmas tree on the bar. So is this a Christmas movie? I feel like if Die Hard is a Christmas movie, Running Scared is also a Christmas movie. Even though I don't think they ever say that it's Christmas throughout the entire movie.
I don't know. That's a good catch by you. And I don't know, but I know that I was going to say that they do a good job of making Chicago look miserable in this movie.
Yeah. Throughout the movie. Yeah.
They do a very good job of making sure that you do not want to visit Chicago, which is a great place. I've been there 5 times. I love Chicago. So
well, maybe not Chicago in the 80s though.
Well, so you could say that about a lot of places in the 80s, right? It's like, just don't go.
I think.
Don't go anywhere. As Darren knows, you know this, Darren. Queens in the 80s, not as much fun as we remember.
Woo! Yeah, these kids today aren't getting the Brooklyn we got.
Yeah, I'll just say
that. It was just like, hey, there's no cops out here for vast swaths of Queens. So that's great.
Yeah, fantastic. It's marvelous.
It's marvelous, right? You're running, you see no one around you for like blocks, and you're like, great, that's fun.
Simply marvelous.
Simply marvelous. There you go. There's a callback. You guys are professional. So they get to this place now. So they got Uzis at some point, right? So and we all know you can't just get Uzis, but they got Uzis because they got them off some bad guys, and then which is right for them to take. Well, by the way, there was a period in the point in the movie where they see Snake unloading TV boxes, and they're like, oh, those can't be regular TVs, right? And they're just a bunch of guns in boxes. I'm like, well, that's just sloppily kept guns. You can't. We just throws a bunch of guns in a TV box. When does that happen?
I mean, put some packing material in there at least.
That'd be nice.
Some packing, styrofoam peanuts, and maybe not have the guns be loaded when you're transporting them, because that just seems to be asking for trouble.
It was like a hot mess of like 80s, like ridiculous. Like how you know what? The only thing, and maybe I'm wrong. Did you guys see anybody put a gun in their pants? That's the only thing I think is missing from this whole thing. Like after shooting, like sticking a gun in their pants, which is
I
infuriates
was
me.
specifically looking for that, but yeah, you do see a lot of cavalier gun safety in these '80s movies. Yeah, like I mean, there is a one point like one of them sets off his gun accidentally in the locker room after they get back to the
Right, right.
U.S.
Yes, yes,
Crystal
yes.
accidentally shoots off his gun because he's so careless. He's still in Florida mode. Um, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think these cops don't. They're. I don't know. I mean, I know they're supposed to be the heroes of this movie and you're supposed to be portrayed in the best light. But yeah, like I mean, John, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Like
they're kind
they
of assholes. They're
kind of yeah. Like one thing they do is like when they're trying to find. They do this throughout the whole movie. When they're trying to find Julio Gonzalez, their
Yeah.
first like course of action is to like harass some Latinos that know him and like and they just shake
Right.
them down. Like I think at one point they go to, I guess it's Julio's mom or aunt, and he's like, "All right,
Yeah.
where's Julio? Where is he?" And at one point, Billy Crystal's character threatens to like deport her.
It's an awful scene. It's an
Yeah,
awful scene.
yeah.
Awful. It's so bad. He's like immigration, and she's like, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." I'm like, "What is happening?"
I did like when they were like going door to door at one point. Like Gregory Hines, he waves at this little kid who's like behind his mother, and the kid just automatically gives him the finger. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's cool, bet.
That's funny.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Gregory Hines. Okay, as long as we're talking about horrible things these cops are doing. Okay, Gregory Hines. We see early in the movie, he and Billy Crystal, they go to a bar and they're both like sort of macking on this woman, and she's vibing with Gregory Hines more, and she hooks up with Gregory Hines, and we find out over the course of the scene that like she's got a husband or she's got a boyfriend, but she's just like, yeah, no, whatever, I'll still hook up with you, I'll still go home with you.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
so
later,
wild.
and then later in the movie, Gregory Hines goes to her apartment, and we think it's like connected to the investigation. No, he just goes there and he like questions about this woman. And he's like, oh, she's got all these unpaid parking tickets. And her boyfriend who answered the door is like, oh, I told her to pay that. And then she goes off with Gregory Hines and hooks up with him again.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend looked like he was 65 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it was just like a 80s 30, but that guy looked really old. And then like, and he's like super rude to her. So
Yeah.
and then so he just like takes her out and they like go hang out at a bar together. And then
Right.
Billy Crystal's ex-wife comes and she's like, I never miss Ray's birthday. And then like kisses Gregory Hines on the mouth.
Yeah.
That's how they say hello to each other. I'm like, what is happening in this movie?
There's a lot of affection there. Yeah.
Yeah, for a minute I did think like did his ex like hook up with Gregory Hines' character at some point? Because they're very close.
Yeah. There's a lot of affection there. But the thing that threw me for the loop is like towards the end of the movie, Gregory Hines apparently wants to hook up with this woman again because I guess she's just that good of a lay. And they actually arrest her boyfriend. They like frame him for something. And I'm like, whoa. He didn't do shit, man. What the hell are you doing? And he is just arrested for the rest of the movie. They never address it. And it's just, yeah, Gregory Hines, he gets to go have police siren sex at his apartment because he's got a police bike in his apartment for some reason.
Because it's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's cool, but also like there's a part where he rides the motorcycle out of the back of his apartment, and that drop off of his apartment to the floor looked steep. Like I don't it looked like a steep drop. So I was like, the stuntmen must have had an awful time with that. And but you know, at least they used the motorcycle gentleman. You know, they didn't just have it as a prop. They used
it wasn't just like they did do they fired the Chekhov's gun, which is good. Yeah, there is a reason that he has the motorcycle. There is a good car chase about halfway through the movie that I was pretty impressed by.
There's an insane car chase. I don't even think, can you call that a car chase if they go up on the train tracks for some reason? And then like...
I mean, it was two cars involved, so I still feel comfortable calling it a car chase, even though it's on train tracks. Yeah,
and the train gets involved at some point, and then they're avoiding trains. Like I don't understand. like filming that, how insane it must have been just to film everything that happened on that car chase. That's insane.
I think that's definitely the standout sequence in this movie, though. I was like, okay, this is something I haven't really seen before.
Or arresting a priest and a nun, and then going on a car chase. That stands out.
Yeah. It starts out they're at the airport, and they're wanting to bust Gonzalez because he's like smuggling drugs in from Mexico, because it's an '80s movie, and that's what you do. And they think they busted Gonzalez with all this cocaine. And then they find out that the cocaine wasn't real cocaine, or it's so diluted that it's not really worth anything, because apparently they were able to analyze the cocaine before they even leave the parking lot at the airport.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Right, yeah. They were just like, I know this. This is bad cocaine.
Coke. Yeah. I'm just like, wait, how does that work? Don't you have to take it back to a lab and do something, like get out a beaker or something? But I guess they just did that taste test that all 80s cops do, where they're just like,
oh man, that is,
it's cocaine. It's pure. Oh,
how do you know? And then no one ever goes, how do you know?
Yeah.
You know what pure cocaine tastes like?
Exactly what cocaine tastes like. Nobody, you never have their captain call them in and it's like, what's this about you tasting cocaine at crime scenes? That is not okay.
That would make me.
Yeah.
Did you cut open a bag of cocaine with a knife and then taste it at the crime scene?
Why did you rub it against your teeth like that? That's like kind of a red flag there, buddy.
Hey, you destroyed $20,000 worth of evidence. What are you doing?
Exactly, but that's we're all just like, they're good. They're good.
Yeah,
they know what. I don't think that's part of police academy training where they're like, okay, everybody, we're going to taste some cocaine now so you can tell the difference between real and fake cocaine. That's just a weird thing that 80s movies would do that we just never question.
You got to get the bad guys, man. That's how it goes, right? Like, you do anything possible to get to the bad guys and make sure, this is why I like to call it gun bucking in broad daylight. There's so many scenes where they're just shooting in the daytime,
right?
and different people,
and they're like bystanders everywhere. Yeah, people do that
everywhere
all the time. Yeah,
they shot a car because two people tried to rob them, and then the car backed up and was coming towards them, and they just started shooting at the car. I'm like, what?
They just go right to the deadly force. Yeah, they're not shooting the tires. They're like, oh no, I hit the windshield 6 times, and I'm like, why are you trying to shoot this dude in the head? They tried to rob you. How does that justify deadly force? It's weird. Yeah,
it's a very strange.
I'm steadily losing sympathy for these guys throughout the movie. Well, like towards the end, when they outright arrest this guy whose only crime is being the boyfriend of the guy that Gregory Hines, or the woman that Gregory Hines wants to hook up with, I'm just like, that's not a good enough reason to arrest the dude.
Yeah, they kind of play it off. They kind of play it off as like, oh, hijinks. Boys will be boys.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Also, they have like the classic shootout at a mall, right? At the very end, right? But here's the thing about it.
High rise, the big climax is like at some convention center in Chicago or
something. That's what it was. Okay. State building. Okay.
Yes. State building, yeah.
The escalators kind of confused me.
Yeah, it looks like a mall because it's a building in the 80s, so
yeah. And they did that thing in the movie that they always do when Julio Gonzalez captures Danny's ex-wife.
Yeah.
And like holds her hostage, like, you have my coke, you meet me here, come alone, no cops, and you'll get back to what.
Yeah. So they have to bring Julio's cocaine to him because they confiscate after the fake cocaine, like, because they're such super cops, they found where the real cocaine was that he was secretly smuggling in. And they have like, I don't know, it's like $3 or $6 million worth of cocaine there. And they get it out of the evidence locker by Billy Crystal pretends he's Dan Hedaya on the phone.
Right.
Because the guy at the evidence locker won't release it to Gregory Hines without his partner being there. And then it's totally okay to give him $3 million worth of cocaine.
$3 million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What is that in the 80s? So that's like $5 million in today's money or something, right? I don't know what it is.
It's got to be at least. I mean, but yeah, and they go to and they have the big shootout with Jimmy Smits and all the guys, and they find all the security of the building tied up in their underwear because all the henchmen have stolen the uniforms. But they apparently don't let any of the security people free.
No.
Yeah,
no, you gotta do it by yourself, man. You don't want any.
Gotta go. But the replacement guys still tag along because they suspect something is up.
Right.
So they join in on the shootout fun at the end. And Gregory Hines has a thing where he gets like window washing equipment, and we're supposed to believe he like somehow rappels up to he climbs up to the top of this building, and we see the beginning of his climb, and he is climbing way too slowly to get to the top of the building.
Yeah, because I think when they found the cops tied up or the guards tied up, he was like, hey, is there any way to get up to, this certain floor without being seen? And they were like, no, you can't do it, unless you're like a window washer and use that contraption over there.
Right.
So yeah, he was like rappelling from the ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got all this, it looks like mountain climbing gear. And you're like, okay, well, that's like 5-10 minutes for him to get all the gear and get all that on and get all set up. And we see the beginning of him climbing up, and we see this for like 30 seconds. He moves up maybe 5 feet. Maybe I'm being generous in saying it's 5 feet. And then in the time, there's a cutaway to Billy Crystal. And from the time it takes Billy Crystal to enter the building and reach like the middle of the lobby, somehow Gregory Hines has gotten up to however many floors it is, like dozens of floors. He's suddenly on the roof, and I'm like, what the hell? Did he like catch an elevator?
He's got a strong core.
I don't know.
He's got a very strong core. He can do it.
I always like, how the fuck did Gregory Hines get up so fast? I don't get that. I don't get that.
Well, then you talk about, and then there's just like a straight up shootout going on, right? Like it's just straight up. Like killing henchmen. Like,
left and right. People are falling over balconies and
and then they get hit. Wait, so Billy Crystal got hit, right? And then Gregory Hines. Did Gregory Hines get shot? I don't remember that part. Did he get shot? Also?
He got injured somehow. They're vague about it. Billy Crystal, like the big climax. Billy Crystal's in one glass elevator going up. His ex-wife is in the other elevator.
Forgot about this.
And they shoot out the glass of both elevators, and Billy Crystal can open the door of his elevator and get out, but his wife can't. Her door is shorted out or something. And he's like, honey, you have to jump over. You have to jump over. And she's his ex-wife, but, she still loves him. She just left him because the job was too tough.
She's engaged to another guy. She's engaged to get married.
Engaged to a dentist. And then after Billy Crystal rescues her, she like just kisses Billy Crystal, and Gregory Hines is like, I thought, hey, what about the dentist? And she's like, who? She literally is like, who?
Fuck that dude.
That's what I'm literally saying. Like, he might be a nice guy, and then wait, you're divorced, and you're gonna go back into this whole like situation. I understand he got you from a glass elevator, and he killed the drug kingpin. However,
but that's not the foundation of a good relationship going forward. It's like the end of Speed. It's like the relationships out of those stressful situations, they're not built to last.
Yeah.
You have issues.
Yeah, let's talk those issues out.
Yeah. Let's
get
and then here.
Yeah, I mean, and at the very end of this film, so they end up, of course, shooting and killing Julio Gonzalez. They get their man, they win.
Right.
And it's like you said, Danny's ex makes out with him, and I guess they're going to reconcile. Then Danny and Ray, Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, they talk. They're like, "Oh, this is like, are we sure we're ready to leave all this? Like, leave the city in the hands of these young whippersnappers, these replacements,
these young whippersnappers, 5 years younger than us."
Yeah. And then they're like, "No, let's stay in Chicago and keep doing this." So I was like, so then that whole B plot of them moving to Key West, and that just gets thrown to the side, and the movie ends.
Yep.
You guys signed a
little freeze frame, and yeah. And Yeah, and apparently it's totally okay that they got the cocaine out and under false pretenses and destroyed half that evidence and shot all these people and didn't get any backup. And yeah,
Refuse to
it's
call
always
backup.
it's always at the end of these movies, like the cop goes rogue, and then if they make a sequel, there are apparently no consequences for them going rogue at all.
No,
Nope.
At all. It's apparently totally okay if you go rogue as long as you shoot Jimmy Smits at the end.
That's right. You
This-
got
Yeah.
your man. Cancel each other out.
And I don't mean killing Jimmy Smits. I don't mean the character he's playing. I mean as long as you actually shoot Jimmy Smits, the actor.
Yes.
I'm sure people have tried, and he's still kicking. He's still around.
He's still, hey, God bless you, Jimmy Smits. We love you.
I just wanted to really clear. So when we were talking about like why this movie and all that stuff. First of all, they had a small business loan that they signed for 180 grand. I don't know how you square that circle that you're not going to do that anymore. You sign a loan with the bank, you're going to have to like figure some stuff out.
Yeah, true.
But this reminds me of Beverly Hills Cop in the fact that this was made for somebody else, right? For like an old. I think Beverly Hills Cop was made for Sly Stallone, and this was made for, like you said Robert Redford, John, and
It was going to be Gene Hackman and Paul Newman, according to
Paul Newman and Gene Hackman. But they took a lot of stuff that was supposed to be in there and they just like added some stuff, but they really didn't pull far away from it being like a black character, right? So the Gregory Hines stuff was like, you could see all that stuff happen and it was like turned up, but at the same time, it's just because he's a younger man. It's not necessarily so. That's what's interesting about it. Like we're seeing it at the lens of being like, you cops are being insane, but if it was Gene Hackman, you'd just be like, oh, this is great. Because not you personally, but me, I would just be like, this is just Gene Hackman being Gene Hackman. Climbing up a building, being cool, shooting at a cop car. And I'm like, Gregory Hines, I just saw you in the Muppet movie. What are you doing, buddy? I just saw you Muppet Steak Manhattan. What is happening? In roller skates, by the way. He had roller skates in Muppet Steak Manhattan also.
That was part of his ride. He had to be in roller skates in every movie.
Yeah, those 80s riders, man. They were insane. M&M's, roller skates. Show off
my sweet roller skating skills, and I got to wear a crop top.
He did have a crop top on in the Muppet Steak Manhattan. So he loves it. He loves it.
80s, everybody was rocking the crop top.
I would rock, if I could, I would rock a crop top right now, but I can't do that when I drop off my daughter.
If I had those Billy Crystal abs, I mean,
listening.
If Billy Crystal had Billy Crystal abs now.
Yeah, I mean, hey. So it's interesting. It feels like the movie, it really wants to be Beverly Hills Cop or 48 Hours, and they're like, hey, we'll get the funny guy from SNL, and and it'll be like, but it never quite rises above the level of generic cop movie. I mean, it's fine. It just feels like a very mediocre by the numbers type of cop movie, and that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that, but
absolutely.
I'm sorry to cut you off, guys, but I just want to say they were the delight of this movie. Like their chemistry kind of took over like plot points and like casting. Yeah. Like it just kind of all disappears when they're doing basically a vaudeville act the whole time, right? So they're just like repeating each other. They're talking over each other, but they're actually like they're just complimenting each other in each scene so much, and they're just like it's just such a refreshing, and it's just tough to see that they never did, to my knowledge, anything else, because you would think that they would have like another movie, not just a Running Scared franchise, but just like something else down the pike.
They do have some chemistry together, and they are having fun with each other, and they seem to, like, on the DVD I got, there's like a little behind the scenes featurette where it's just like Billy Crystal showing off the trailers. Trailers they were staying in, not the trailers of the movie. Although the trailer of the movie is in there too, because it's jam packed with special features. But they do have a decent chemistry together. I wouldn't have mind seeing them do something else together.
You think they could have had like a whole like Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor type of thing where they keep being in different movies, but they play different characters. Like they had strong chemistry. I'm really surprised they didn't go on to do other things together.
Yeah,
I think Billy Crystal got really busy, and then he just like started doing like whatever he wanted. Just going back to that 1 year of SNL, like I think he just, that 1 year he did on SNL, wherever he was, just like he just kind of exploded. you know, and then
Yeah.
after that it was like, you know, City Slickers is like what 4 years after or something like that. So he was probably in pre-production for like 2 years. So
89 or 90, something like that. And you know, he had Harry Met Sally, so he was rocking by the end of the 80s.
Yeah. You know, Princess Bride, of course.
Oh yeah,
correct,
hey,
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
no, all that stuff was He probably was just like out of there.
yeah,
But no, it's a great movie to like look back on and what could be. Because this was not them being awful cops, but the hopefulness out of me for the 80s was like you would see more movies just like this, just different characters coming in, you know, getting in, being able to be horrible people without any without the consequence.
without
just
the
different.
80s were truly like the age without consequence. We're
Yeah.
just you see these guys just raising hell for an hour and a half, and then it's just like, oh yeah, it's all okay. Oh, okay,
It's fine. They got the guy, right?
fine,
The one guy.
yeah. It's kind of amazing. Like, Jimmy Smits has like a really thankless role. Like his villain character has like no real traits or anything. He's just kind of there.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's just a very thin character. You know, they didn't put a whole lot of thought into Julio Gonzalez, I'm afraid.
Yeah, just like, oh, he's Latino, he dresses nice.
Yeah.
And the end.
He takes their pants in that one scene.
Oh,
right.
yeah, they walk around in long johns. Right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the few things I remembered about this movie. I remembered that they were cops. I remembered that there was a scene where they have their pants stolen and they're shooting after the guy in long johns, and I remembered the climax in the high rise thing, and that was about it. And yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's cute.
Before you know we end off or do stuff like that, do you guys have? And I'm asking the SNL Nerds, so I feel good about this. Do you guys have a favorite character all time that you guys could talk about, or do you guys not? You just like love
live or
whatever. Just like off the top of your head, do you guys have like a favorite character that you're like, this is, you know, it could have been like an entryway SNL thing. And I'm, you know, if you guys went over this already, I apologize. I just would like
fine.
to know.
Probably the first character I was a really big fan of was Dana Carvey's The Church Lady. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I saw, you know, like when I was in my teens, Dana Carvey made an appearance at one of the local colleges, and he closed out his act with The Church Lady, doing a thing with it where the Church Lady was at Thanksgiving. And it was actually a dueling impression. He did The Church Lady, and he was doing Al Pacino's Scarface.
It's so strange.
Yeah, the Church Lady was like putting Scarface in his place. Yeah, that was probably the first one. I mean, there've been loads of characters I've been nuts about over the years, though. Darren, what about you?
I mean, I think I mentioned it on the podcast before, but I'd probably go with. Well, I mean, as I said on the podcast before, like I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan. He was like the first cast member that I pretty much like was obsessed with. So I'd probably go with Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Like
good.
I just love that sketch every time it came on. Just the way his inflection. You're like, who could that be, boys and girls? And he's talking about, you know, robbing people and welfare and stuff. And of course, every time there's always one point where somebody knocks on his door and he says, "This is how we answer the door in my neighborhood." Who is it?
Yeah,
I fall out laughing every time. So yeah, I'll say that. I'll say Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
So what about you, Tommy?
You know what? I was going to say one thing, and then I'll change it off. My favorite character all time is definitely Ed Grimley. I said it before because he had an Ed Grimley cartoon, Martin Short did.
Yeah.
So I used to love watching. Yeah, it was just like this. It kind of just changed my mind on what comedy is or what cartoons are. But my favorite character, one off of all time, is Little Orphan Annie. James Brown doing Little Orphan Annie on Broadway. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one. It's Eddie Murphy being. Yeah, it's Eddie Murphy being. You can't really find it on YouTube anymore, but we had it on the VHS tape, and it was Eddie Murphy doing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow as James Brown, wearing a Little Orphan Annie outfit. And every time I see that, and it's just nothing. It's just him singing "Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow," and then they cut it, and then they cut it off basically. and it's so funny to me every time I see it because it's just like a brilliant little. It's a great way to showcase Eddie Murphy. It's a great thing that was on Broadway at the time. It was just like a funny little thing. So that's just, it always makes me laugh when I think about it.
Nice.
All right, not bad.
So yeah, so that's
not bad.
That's all. Yeah, that's all. Like, yeah, it's not bad.
No, hey, I just sweated and bled for you, Darren. Yeah, not bad.
Never really
I didn't ask you to do that.
Level of fine. Yeah, it's decent. It's it is undeniably a top movie starring Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal. So if you're in the mood for that sort of thing, this is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, check it out. See what you think. I think we might have gotten some Twitter responses. All right, yes, we did get some tweets about it. We were letting everybody know we're doing a Sweet Freedom, of course, Running Scared. And we heard from Steve Harold at Joint Partners saying about this movie. Hines and Crystal had such amazing chemistry on screen. I was always bummed that they never worked together again. I know there was briefly a sequel talked about, but I would have preferred them just make other films playing new characters. Which, yeah, we agree. We agree with that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
and,
yeah.
And that's our episode, guys. Running Scared, 1986. Not too bad. Pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that's a good summation. Pretty good.
Oh,
if they would have had more. Yeah.
I just came across a little bit of more trivia. It was originally written for Gene Hackman and Paul Newman, as we said. But two other people who were discussed they were apparently offered the roles of Hughes and Costanzo, Tom Selleck and John Travolta.
Oh.
Yeah. Selleck
totally
turned it down
movie.
due to commitments to Magnum PI, while Travolta's agent at the time, Michael Ovitz, felt the project was wrong for him. So.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Not as much fun.
I'm
movie
sure
doesn't sound as much fun.
Considered for Tom Selleck and John Travolta roles all the time.
Has Tom Selleck ever been funny in anything but Three Men and a Baby? Like I don't. He doesn't have really like those comedy chops, does he?
He's decent. He's funny in Magnum PI, I think.
He was on some episodes of Friends.
That's true.
See, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Good callback. I wouldn't know.
He was Courtney Cox's boyfriend on Friends for a good long time, and he was pretty good at that.
Wow. Did not know that.
Check out the Tom Selleck episodes of Friends. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it was a whole thing because he's dating an older man type of thing.
Yeah, maybe just check out the Rembrandt's video with the Friends cast cavorting around. See if you like that. And then that's just like a 5-minute commitment.
5 minutes? No.
Whatever it is. I mean, it's probably like 3 minutes. I don't know how long the Friends song is, but you should definitely watch the video for Sweet Freedom by Michael McDonald, though, if you want to see Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines having the time of their lives. And
oh man,
I'm still weirded out by that they're better at lip syncing than Michael McDonald is. Michael McDonald could not give less of a shit about lip syncing. He's like barely opening his mouth.
He's like, I'm fulfilling this contractual this contract, and I'm out.
Contractual obligation. Yeah.
Yes, that's the word, obligation.
And it's just like
you know, it's funny. I would say that this funny thing is I was able to find the song on Spotify for this episode. I would say 4 months ago, I was looking for the song on Spotify. Could not find it. Only could find Michael McDonald doing it live. I couldn't find the studio version. So there must have been some contractual stuff going on. But it's such a weird thing to like look up a song and be like, am I crazy? Does this not exist? Is that a thing? What?
Yeah. I went looking for it. I think Spotify, they heard that we were going to cover this movie, and they were like, well, we better get the song back up. Have an upcheck and
get on it.
Yeah. I mean, all the Michael McDonald heads. What do they call Michael McDonald fans? I don't know. You know, Jimmy Buffett fans. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one more point about the movie that I find refreshing is that usually when you have a pairing of a black cop and a white cop, the white cop is usually like more like Lethal Weapon, like, you know, not very like, you know, just office rocker, as they say, you know, just like not putting it together. And the
loose cannon.
You know, loose cannon. Thank you so much. It's like, you know, the Mel Gibson character, and then they team with the black cop, and the black cop's like more of a sage and old and wise. And you don't get those characters with this, right? It's like Billy Crystal is, I guess, not a corrupt cop, but they're just like equally
horrible cops.
Yeah, they're both equally horrible cops. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is all you can ask for. You know, it doesn't have to, all you ask for is that they're awful people together. That's fine.
Yeah. That's true equality.
They're equally awful. They are equally awful and dangerous cops. And really,
they're very dangerous cops.
I mean, they arrest a guy literally because one of them wants to get laid.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have police siren sex in my loft apartment.
That looked like a good apartment too, right? Gregory Hines' apartment. It looked like That's probably goes for a bit of money now.
They live in lofts so often, you know. I just because they look good on camera, I guess. I don't know how he affords that apartment, but yeah, good on him. He's just having random sex with people whose boyfriends he arrests for no reason. Was that guy released the next morning? I'm just very curious about this guy.
Oh boy!
Well, they didn't think about Snake either. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. Snake. There was no remorse for Snake. All right.
Yeah. No. I mean, they just kind of forget about Punk Joey Pants. He gets shot for no real reason. But what you gonna do? Yeah.
Oh well. All right, and that's our episode, guys. Thanks so much for listening, as always. Tommy Ray, thank you so much for being on the podcast, sir. You are a delight.
This was you took my word. I was going to say this is being a delight. Now I have to think of another word, and I will eventually. But what a wonderful experience, guys. This was. I love talking about this type of stuff, and I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to promote? Where can the people find you?
On Twitter, it's Tommy Ray 2, TOMMYRAYTOO. And find the smart tweets that I put out of my brain from there. Maybe you'll see some Wordle scores every now and again. Yeah. Oh, I'm a Wordle guy now. It's I've totally turned that corner.
We got
what the gangsters do. Yep. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah, man. It's in them streets, the Wordle streets. You can find me on there. I got. I was talking to you guys previously. I'm doing some writing. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that out there early next year. And I'll be listening to you guys and figuring stuff out also. So
sweet.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
All right. Well, as always, you can follow the show's Twitter page at SNL Nerds Show. You can also follow our individual Twitter pages and Instagram pages. I, for instance, am at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic. Darren, where can folks find you?
At Darren Credible, DARIN Credible, Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as always, you can hit us up at Non-Productive.com and donate to our Patreon. Give us some money, some sweet cash, so we can keep this little light of ours shining.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, look! I just noticed one of our Twitter followers, Steve Harrod, he posted a HBO behind the scenes featurette on Running Scared. So I'm gonna go check that out now.
Ooh.
I haven't seen it. Yeah. Now I want to know everything about the making of this movie. So
let's do it.
Yeah, so let's check that out. So we'll be back next week with more fun SNL stuff. But until then, Nerds
out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.